All right, thanks again for everybody that came out last Saturday to support our kids. I hope you'll return again this Saturday. We have a heck of a challenge with Furman coming into town. Coach Hendricks done a fine job with those guys. They are fantastic on the offensive side of the ball right now. They're averaging 44 points a game. I watched the game last night, or the film last night, and their quarterback is playing at an incredible level. I mean, runs it, throws it. They run the triple option. They spread you out. They do a little bit of everything. I was even more shocked to learn he's a redshirt freshman today. Really a talented player. Went toe-to-toe with Georgia State, who beat Tennessee at Tennessee. So they've got skill players, a great scheme. Defensively, they're mixing up fronts and moving back and forth. It's going to be a heck of a challenge for us. So we've got to have a great week of preparation this week, continue to build. I think it's obvious we're not a finished product. Some of the things we talked about yesterday, we've got to continue to embrace the challenge of trying to improve as coaches and as players, to continue to try and get better in all three phases of the game. So, questions?
You said you wanted to look at the film before you evaluate those young offensive linemen, how they play. What are your impressions of how they did in their first action?
Oh, we've got a lot of work to do. I mean, we played a bunch of those young guys, and a couple true freshmen and a couple redshirt freshmen. And I may be wrong. The oldest guy might have been a sophomore. I may be wrong. I'm not sure. But so lots of work to do with all of those guys. At times played well, and at times showed some inexperience. So we've got to do a good job as coaches. I think that's the biggest thing is we got young pretty quickly. So we've got to do a good job of putting them in good situations, not asking them to do too much, and then letting them cut it loose and go play.
Is there something specifically with offensive linemen that are young that you look for in terms of like his physicality at the top of the list? Because that's always something that could be a disqualifier for a guy that's so young to get him on the field.
In terms of recruiting, or in terms of when they're ready to play?
When they get out there on the field.
Oh, I mean that's certainly something. There's just a little bit that there's quite a bit that goes into playing on the offensive line in terms of understanding and technique, and there's obviously a physical part of it in terms of maturity and growth and strength. And some guys have all or none of those things coming in, and it's our job to, as the years go by, to increase all of those things. We do have a couple young guys that are pretty far advanced in terms of those. They're physically advanced and pretty sharp kids that I think will pick things up quickly. But it doesn't mean we don't need to take that into consideration. We do, that they're young and that we need to try our best to put them in good situations.
Justin, I know you tend to stay away from the defensive side of things, but I asked Bud about the play of the front four on the defensive line. They seem to be having a hard time getting pressure on the quarterback without blitzing. What's your take on that? And I know you tend to stay away, but how much are you staying away?
Well, I would say this, the disappointing thing for us as a team is how we played situational football last weekend on both sides of the ball. 4-minute offense, we fumbled twice. Defensively, we were essentially just trying to keep them in front of us and not being particularly aggressive, and gave up some big plays in the run game. And that was disappointing. We did get the quarterback off the spot a few times. I thought Emmanuel Belmar had a couple nice pass rushes in there, but it's something we've got to continue to bring along. Certainly, it's all going to be situational and game plan based and what we're trying to get accomplished. And I thought both sides of the ball realized there in the fourth quarter. I thought both sides of the ball played it correctly in terms of the coaches realizing we're trying to. There's no reason to try and give up anything big on defense, and what we were trying to accomplish and trying to run the ball out. We just didn't execute it very well.
With the offensive line, were Harris and Janzi injured, or did you make a change based on just kind of performance?
No, I think they're fine. I mean, Silas got a little dinged up. He's a guy that sweats a lot. You know, I mean, he's had some cramping issues before, but they're both fine.
And then Keene didn't come back after that play. He got hurt in the end zone. What's his status? Is he okay, or is he going to?
Yeah, he's fine. He looked good at practice yesterday.
And Gallo played.
Who?
Nick Gallo played some extensive stretches for him in that second half. How did he look, kind of especially with blocking?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a chance to be a really, really good player. We got to keep bringing him along. We're going to need him as we go through the season. So.
A couple things. I know Damon missed chunks of the spring.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off. I had this written down to talk about. Like, it is a interesting deal. I feel like I did not intend to mislead you all. On Sunday's practice of last week, he looked like $1 million. He really did. And we came out Tuesday, and he just wasn't himself. I mean, he just. So when I had this meeting last week, I really fully intended on him playing, and I expected him to have a great Tuesday, and he just hasn't. So he's still trying to get over the same thing. I don't know how long it's going to be. Obviously, I kind of stepped out there and felt like he was going to be back last week, and he wasn't. So that wasn't deliberate. That was genuinely how I felt at the time. Go ahead, though.
And that all stems from the hammy at this point still, right? Okay. I remember last season you memorably mentioned that Dax was somewhat of an unguided missile at times, and that's something you wanted him to work at, just focusing and making sure he had everything down. As he's gone through a couple games now, how do you sort of evaluate how far he's come along? And just on a first appearance, it looks like he's still got a ways to go, but again, he's hadn't played an awful lot still.
Yeah, still continuing to develop. He's picking it up well. I don't. Bud can speak to the nuances of it. I don't want him to overanalyze things. He's a highly intelligent person, young man out there. We want him to be able to cut it loose and go play, but there's still a lot that comes with playing that position every day. And he's worked some at the other linebacker position too, so he's got a lot. A lot going on, but he seems to be handling it and continuing on. I guess I should say on pace in terms of his development.
Where in the running game do you guys need to see improvement going forward?
Everywhere. We've got to do a better job coaching, a better job blocking, and a better job running. Everywhere.
Phil Patterson's kind of been getting more playing time with Hazleton out. Had 2 nice catches on Saturday. What is his development, and what do you kind of think of him stepping in and playing pretty well?
Yeah, I've been pleased with Phil. He's had a great summer. Continues to work hard and practice hard. He's contributing on special teams as well. Has made a couple nice plays for Phil. It's just continuing to be disciplined in his technique on a consistent basis, taking care of the ball when it's in his hands, getting north and south, and executing his technique. He does have some natural ability, and it's been fun for him, or for us to see him get to have a little bit of success because he has been working hard.
Andy? Go ahead, Andy.
You haven't had a turnover stretch like this over 2 games since your first 2 games here, and I know it's a point of emphasis in practice and everything. Is it tough to pin down turnovers sometime? I mean, it feels like you can stress them at practice, but they still happen. Does that happen sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what we've done, in 2 games we found different ways to do it, right? So it's been we fumbled the ball last week, and 2 weeks ago we had issue with fielding a punt and then throwing interceptions. So it's been different sources, I guess you could say. We have to do. It's a must for us. We have to. We have to do a better job as coaches, as players, valuing the ball. Doesn't mean you can never, we can't go out there and just take a knee every time, obviously. But we do have to find a way to stay aggressive and take care of the football.
We spoke to Jalen Griffin after the game on Saturday, about his move from linebacker to D-line. What have you seen from him since he moved, and what prompted that position change?
Well, I think we could probably point to a bunch of things that that led to the position change. I think the biggest thing was we had a guy on our team in Jalen that was working hard and doing what we asked him to do. It needed a better opportunity to get on the field, and we felt like that's where it was at end. And I think he has done a fantastic job, or I know he's done a fantastic job embracing that change. His attitude has always been good, and he's always wanted to play football, to get on the field. But it just seems like it's given him a new sense of purpose, I guess you could say, a new lease on life. I mean, he's just really embraced it and continues to get better every single day. So I'm happy. It's a testament to him and his willingness to play, and also open-mindedness. Being open-minded about our suggestion or us bringing it up, and then him going out there and taking to it pretty naturally.
You talked about some of the young offensive linemen, and Doug Nestor in particular. What kind of stood about him as a true freshman to go in there and start at right guard for you the whole game?
Well, he's a perfectionist. He's got some God-given ability. He is a big athletic human being. He's a mature person from a great family, and he seems to have picked things up really quickly and deserved an opportunity to play.
You had a couple extended drives, but and then followed up, with 3 and outs. Do you feel like the offense has found a rhythm yet at all in these first 2 weeks? And what's your kind of sense of things? Like, you just can't kind of get on a roll yet, do you feel like?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never understood rhythm, to be honest with you. Like, what does that mean? Yeah, you're in rhythm when you're executing and you're ripping off runs and passes. I get that, but we have not played as well, or we're like every other phase of our team right now. On special teams, on offense, and on defense, we just have to find a level of consistency in all areas that will enable us to be, better and more efficient. So, I feel the same way about the whole team.
Are you surprised maybe with the offense you had, experienced skill players, with Ryan being experienced, that you haven't had that consistency right out of the gate for the offense?
Am I surprised?
Yeah. Did you expect to be more consistent coming out these first 2 games?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. I know I expect us to operate and execute at a certain level every single time, whether it's at practice or in the game. We haven't found that yet.
Tavion Robinson obviously played some quarterback in high school. It's his first year as a wide receiver. Did that transition to the position on the outside, did that start before he arrived on campus, or was that something that happened, right when he got here and started working with you guys?
Well, I would say, it was never a discussion like for Tavion, hey, we're going to start you out at quarterback, and if you end up wanting to move to receiver, then we'll talk about it then. That wasn't the way it went. It's been like that before, but with other guys, but it wasn't like that with Tavion. Tavion was a receiver from day one. I'm sure he thinks he could play quarterback if you asked him. But, I think he was just mentally and emotionally prepared to jump right in and play wide out, and then he's picked it up really quickly. So it's been pretty natural for him. He's one of those people, and we're all different, and we all learn different, but very rarely has he repeated a mistake. He's can take it from the classroom to the field. He can take correction. He understands the big picture, so when you're communicating with him, he kind of understands how his piece of the puzzle fits in. Maybe that's from playing a little bit of quarterback, I don't know, but it seems to have been pretty smooth.
Couple more, Andy.
You mentioned that Furman runs a little bit at the triple option. Did you kind of hope that you wouldn't have to face that now that Georgia Tech had a new coaching staff?
Well, Yeah, we didn't quite get out of it all the way, but I remember, Coach Hendricks spent some time at Air Force, and when I was at TCU, we used to play Air Force, and they just did it was the option and everything else, and that's a totally new animal, totally different animal that you've got to be prepared for. So they must do a great job teaching, getting their kids going, because they seem to have quite a lot of stuff going on.
Anybody else? Last one, Mike?
With special teams, you were kind of frustrated last year with some of the inconsistency. You get the big play on kick return. Are you happy kind of with generally how those units have performed better? I mean, kind of mixed up veterans and kind of the young guys on those units. What are your kind of thoughts on how they've been so far?
I said I was frustrated, or you said I was frustrated?
Punt return certainly you're frustrated, but you said you weren't happy.
I don't ever use the word frustrated. I want to see it.
You weren't happy.
I want to see where I use the word frustrated.
I was categorizing.
I hate that word.
Some synonym.
No, here's the deal. Like, I don't think we were very good in our coverage unit last year, particularly in punt. And we did struggle to find a punt returner. That's for certain. But we were down to, like, by the end of the year, like, trying to find somebody to cover a punt. I mean, like, it was just, we weren't very healthy. Thus far, I've been very pleased with our speed down the field. We look more like we did a couple years ago, covering punts. I mean, the first 2 years we were here, the last couple years at Memphis, we have all these techniques we use to cover a punt, and we didn't have to use any of them. We were just running by people to get down there and cause a fair catch or make a quick tackle. I'm not saying all our problems are solved, but it's in 2 games it's looked closer to like that. I mean, we still have missed a couple tackles, particularly in the first game. So we're improving there. We have some guys that are getting down the field quicker. So that's been good. It was nice to get a big play in the kicking game. I feel like our punt return unit has a chance to be good. We just need to be a little more consistent. We've got guys that have got some experience that are blocking, either pressuring punts or blocking for Hezzy. We didn't have very many opportunities to field punts last week. So anyway, I like where we're going. I like the pride our guys are taking in it. We'll see as we continue. I don't mean to keep just beating the same drum, but we're about in all 3 phases, we're kind of the same. We've got to continue to embrace the challenge of improvement.
All right, thanks everybody. 10:30 tomorrow. We may also be joined by men's soccer coach Mike Rosendine tomorrow.